Hi, I'm Joe and welcome to the channel. In this Inspired By video, we're going to learn how to play modern pop guitar. The goal for this series is simple. I write an original piece of music and I try to incorporate different techniques and things that make up that style of music in hopes that you can incorporate them into your own playing. As always, in the description down below, you can download the tracks for free as a practice tool. So let's go ahead and jump into the track and then I'll break down all the guitar parts for you afterwards. Before I break down the guitar tracks, I just wanted to share some observations about this style of music that I noticed. One of them is that the chord progressions are very repetitive. There's really not a lot going on harmonically, so the challenge for us is to try to come up with different parts and contrasts in different sections to keep the listener interested in the song. Also, I noticed that contrast idea kind of flows through the whole production idea as well. What I mean by that is that when you listen to like the drums, they're more like electronic drums, but then they put in a lot of these more organic instruments such as an acoustic guitar. But then they also do something interesting. You have these hi-fi drums happening, but if you notice, what I did was I actually filmed all the acoustic guitar parts on my iPhone to make it sound a little bit lo-fi for those parts. So you have the acoustic guitar parts, which is organic against the drums, and also from a sonic standpoint, you have the same contrast happening with more of a lo-fi guitar sound happening with the more hi-fi drums and other production bits in there. And also you notice that in the different sections, what you're trying to do is build momentum into something, and then you sometimes drop things out of the arrangement to add a little bit more contrast that way as well. So the first guitar part is kind of simple, and I noticed that a lot of the playing in this is very staccato. So it's not letting notes ring out. It's more of a staccato type playing for these guitar parts. I guess what the idea here is to try to make it a little bit more rhythmic and jump out at you. So all we're doing here, this whole chord progression is an E minor to a D to a B minor to a C. So one observation I noticed is that they don't play full chords like that. Mainly what they stick to is the root, the fifth, and the third. So what I'm doing here is with my picking hand is I'm picking with my thumb the root, my first finger comes up on the fifth, and then my third finger hits the third. And then for this, I'm just landing on the D as a power chord. And I'm doing the same type of idea with the root, third, root, fifth, third, power chord to the C. And you notice, you can hear the mouse that walks up and down the neck. I noticed that they kind of leave that in, and again, I think that's more for the organic feel of the music. After that first intro, then we kind of let the part ring out a little bit more when the electric guitars come in. So these power chords are now ringing out. And what I noticed in this music is that layering is your friend. Layering different guitar parts together, and what's really nice to do is to layer your acoustic guitar with your electric guitar. There's a certain clarity of the acoustic guitar when it sits over the electric guitar parts. It's really a nice mix, and if you blend them just right, you can really hear that it makes its own texture inside of the music. There's one other acoustic guitar part too that happens a little bit later on. And what that is basically is just octaves. So the E to the D to the B to the C. And again, I'm just doing the octave, so I'm playing on the A string and the G string. And all this is trying to do is add a little bit of movement into the music. So again, it's very repetitive, the music, so you need to keep the listeners interested by introducing like new different parts and ear candy. To help with those mouth squeaks, you might want to lift up a little bit on your fingers. Not so good there. Let me go ahead and grab an electric guitar now, and I'll break down those guitar parts for you. So the first electric guitar part kind of copies a little bit the acoustic guitar part and just complements it. But what's really interesting here is I'm no longer playing the fifth. I'm just going to play the root and the third. And what's nice about this, we don't have to have a whole shakedown. You could, but it really makes things a little bit cleaner if you just kind of use a different fingering and just play those notes that you need. And rhythmically, I do something a little bit different on the second time around. Again, you're just trying to keep interest for the listener to hear something a little bit different. So the first time it goes like this. Second time. Some hits. And what I did with that guitar part is I actually doubled it with a different electric guitar. I find that sonically you can add a little bit of texture to the guitar part if you do that. And what you can do is you can pan them hard left and hard right. And also on the second one, I added a little bit of a shimmer reverb. So it had a little bit more of a distinct character or quality to that sound. But on top of this, again, we're mixing and layering, so we're making our own new textures and sounds. So this same part, but again with a longer reverb tail with a little bit of shimmer on it. And then I panned it hard left and hard right and mixed it slightly lower in the mix. So now you actually have three guitars playing a similar part. We had the acoustic guitar part playing that one part, then we had this guitar playing that one part, and then I put out my Strat style guitar to play that same part again. And again, it just adding these different layers makes a little bit more of a texture inside of your music. So for those guitar parts, you notice that I didn't use a pick. I was trying to keep things really soft and organic again. I think this adds to the tonal quality of the guitar sound inside of this style of music. So this time though, we're going to pick up a pick, and I'm actually going to spin the pick around. So instead of using the pointy end, I'm actually going to spin it around and use the butt end a little bit. It makes things a little bit softer. It's not as pokey. Here's the pick. Here's the side of the pick. I'm not sure how well that's going to come out on the camera here, this microphone, but I do want you to experiment with using different sides of your pick. It almost acts like it's a little EQ pedal, if you will. Well, EQ sound for your guitar when you're playing these different parts. So experiment with that a little bit. You might find something nice there. And I'm also palm muting this, so I'm going to come down. So I'm going to come down, and I'm actually just going to put the fleshy part of my hand a little bit above the bridge here, so it's muting all my strings. And then I'm going to play this part kind of out of the E minor pentatonic scale, everyone's favorite, right? But I'm going to add an extra note in there. So the notes are going to be B, A, G, and then we're going to go to the F sharp because that's going to sit over the D chord. And then we're going to play the F sharp again, G, D, E for the next half of it. Because that F sharp, even though it's not in the pentatonic scale, it is in the chords the D and the B minor. And that's why I'm picking up that F sharp in there. And this part goes. And I'm trying to keep the sound really clean. If you noticed in the mix here, I took off the reverb on that. And I found that that part just jumped out a little bit more at you and was a little more punchy inside of the mix. For the next two guitar parts, I totally went dry with those. And I noticed again that this kind of makes them stand out a little bit in the mix. And I amped up the sound a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch down to the bridge pickup. And we're really going to play some crunchy chords. I noticed that what's nice about this style of music is sometimes they introduce these other elements, again, ear candy or surprises for the listener that are in contrast to what's happening. So you have those nice acoustic guitars and those floaty sounding electric guitars playing those kind of pad type of sounds with just the root and third. And then they come in with these crunchy guitars. So this is all this part is just following the same chord progression, but it's the... So all we're just doing is just crunching out the E to the D, the B minor to the C, but I'm just playing those as power chords. And that's really all that one part is. And then we're going to do kind of another power chord idea, but we're going to lose the pick for the last guitar part. And what we're going to do is we're going to play here a power chord instead of the E and the B here. I'm going to play the octave E and the B up here. So it's going to go like this. And all again I'm doing there is just power chords. So many times we just play our power chords here. But that sound is great anywhere on the guitar neck. And what's really nice about this part is it just hides a little bit underneath the mix and kind of stands out. You can add a little bit of vibrato on those end notes. And that's all there is to this whole entire song. So again, some key takeaways are this. Practice coming up with some parts that really contrast each other and come up with different instrumentation. Use acoustic guitars along with electric guitars and try to blend them together inside of your mix. And remember to try to keep your parts a little bit staccato a little bit, just to make them punch out in the mix a little bit more as well, or the whole arrangement of the song. And again, as a reminder, there's in the description below, you can download the tracks for free, and you can practice along with this song or come up with your own song. Well, that was how to play modern pop guitar in the Inspired By series. I hope you found some value in this video, and if you did, would you do me a favor? I'm really trying to grow the channel. If you could just simply hit the like button down below, that'll help me out a lot, or subscribe even, that would be even better, and ring the bell. This way you'll be notified when the next video comes out. As always, I wish you a great day, and thank you for your support.